13 years ago during a Christmas party, my dad said, "I only invest in kids with high IQs." I left home after hearing that. 13 years later, after I bought an $800,000 house, they came looking for me, inviting me to a Christmas gathering, hiding a despicable scheme behind it. At that party, hey Reddit, when I was a kid, I used to think Christmas meant love, that it was about family, warmth, and kindness. But 13 years ago, that illusion shattered. All because of one sentence my father said in front of everyone. "My name's Evan, and I'll never forget that night." It was our annual Christmas party. My parents' house glowing with lights, laughter spilling from the living room. My older brother, Liam, was the star of the evening as always. He was the genius of the family. Top grades, science awards, and endless praise. Meanwhile, I was just me, an average student, quiet, more into art than equations. As usual, my dad spent most of the evening bragging about Liam to the guests. "He's already been accepted into the state engineering program," he boasted. "That boy's going to make millions someday." Mom nodded proudly, handing out wine like it was her job. No one mentioned me. I didn't expect them to. I'd learned long ago that my existence was more of an afterthought. But that night, my dad crossed a line. And I never forgot. One of his business friends patted him on the back and asked, "What about your younger son? What's his plan?" Dad chuckled, then said loud enough for the whole room to hear. "Evan, oh, he's creative. But you know me, I only invest in kids with high IQs." The laughter that followed still rings in my ears. Everyone thought it was just a joke. But to me, it wasn't funny. It was the moment I realized I'd never be enough. Not for him. That night, I went to my room, packed a bag, and left. No dramatic goodbye. No note, just a silent promise to myself. One day, I'll make it, and you'll regret every word. The next decade wasn't easy. I worked odd jobs, slept in a studio apartment smaller than their garage, and fought every day to prove I was more than his insult. I studied graphic design at night, took freelance gigs, and built my own digital brand from nothing. And slowly, painfully, it worked. By 31, I'd built a design agency worth over $1 million. At 32, I bought my first home, a quiet, modern house by the lake, worth $800,000. I didn't buy it to show off. I bought it because I wanted peace, something my childhood never gave me. I hadn't spoken to my parents in 13 years. Not a call, not a text. It was easier that way. Until one December morning, a week before Christmas, I got a message on Facebook. It was from Mom. "Hi, Evan. We've missed you so much. Your father's been talking about you nonstop. We'd love for you to come home for Christmas this year. It would mean the world to us." I stared at the screen for a long time. Something about it didn't feel right. The dad who once mocked me suddenly missed me. The family who never once reached out now wanted me back. I didn't reply immediately, but then I saw another message. This time from my brother Liam. "Hey man, long time. Mom and Dad are getting older, and Dad really wants to make things right. Come over this year. It's time." For a moment, I actually believed it. The part of me that still craved family, still wanted to hear, "I'm proud of you," began to hope. So, I said yes. I told myself it would be simple. Go home, make peace, maybe find closure. I didn't know then that closure was the last thing they wanted from me. The night of the party, I pulled up to the old house. It looked the same, except older, emptier somehow. The lights were bright, but the warmth felt fake. Mom opened the door with tears in her eyes. "Oh, Evan, you look amazing." Dad followed, smiling stiffly. "Son, it's been too long." I forced a smile. Yeah, 13 years to be exact. The evening started okay. We exchanged small talk, shared dinner, and my brother showed off his new startup project. But something felt off. Mom kept glancing at Dad. Liam avoided eye contact. And when I mentioned my new home, their expressions changed. Subtle but telling. After dessert, Dad cleared his throat. "Evan, we're so proud of what you've achieved." "Really?" I raised an eyebrow. That's new. He laughed awkwardly. We all make mistakes, but we've learned. Actually, there's something important we'd like to discuss with you. I leaned back slowly. What's that? Mom smiled, her voice sweet but nervous. Well, you know your brother's been struggling with his company lately. He's trying to save it, but they need investors. And there it was. Investors, I repeated. You mean money? Dad quickly added. We thought maybe since you've done so well for yourself, you could help out. Family sticks together, right? I looked at them in disbelief. 13 years of silence. 13 years of being nothing to them. And now suddenly I was useful. Let me get this straight, I said slowly. You threw me out. You mocked me. You said I wasn't worth investing in. And now you want me to invest in you. Liam tried to smile. Come on, man. Don't make it weird. It's just business. I felt my pulse rise. Business. That's all I ever was to them. An investment that didn't pay off. I stood up, my chair scraping the floor. You invited me here to ask for money. Mom started crying. Dad's jaw tightened. You don't have to get dramatic. We thought you'd be mature enough to help. I took a step back and whispered, No, Dad. I'm mature enough to finally say no. I turned toward the door, my voice shaking but clear. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your party. And as I walked out, I heard my father's voice one last time. You'll regret this, Evan. But what he didn't know was that I'd already planned my own surprise for that Christmas. Because the next morning, while they were still celebrating their fake victory, I made one phone call, and what happened next destroyed their little scheme forever. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on my balcony staring at the lake reflecting the city lights, wondering how people who gave you life could be the same ones who tried to drain it from you. 13 years. 13 years of silence, struggle, and self-building. And the first thing my parents said to me wasn't, we're proud of you. It was, can you invest in US? I couldn't decide whether to laugh or cry. But as the cold night air brushed my face, one thought came to me. They'd played me once. They'd humiliated me once, but not this time. This time, they were going to learn what real investment looks like. The next morning, I made one phone call to my old college friend, Alicia, who happened to work in finance. She was sharp, direct, and the kind of person who could spot manipulation from a mile away. So, let me guess, she said. Your family suddenly loves you again. I sighed. More like they love my wallet. Classic, she said. You want me to dig around, please? Especially into my brother's company. Something feels off. 2 hours later, she called back. You were right. His business isn't struggling. It's collapsing. He's nearly $500,000 in debt. Your parents signed off as co-guarantors on one of his loans. I froze. Meaning if the company sinks, they lose everything, including their house. So that was it. They didn't want to make peace. They wanted a bailout. A part of me pitied them, but another part, the one that still remembered being laughed at in front of strangers, decided this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about closure. So, I made a plan. A week later, I called them. Hey, Dad. I said, I've been thinking about your offer. Maybe we can talk. Instant excitement in his voice. Of course, son. That's wonderful. Let's have dinner at our place tomorrow. When I arrived the next evening, everything looked staged, the table perfectly set, fake warmth in their smiles. They didn't know that while they were setting the table, I'd already contacted the bank through Alicia and reviewed every one of their accounts. We sat down to dinner. After a few pleasantries, Dad leaned in. So, about that investment, I smiled. Right. I've been thinking, maybe I can help. Mom gasped in relief. Oh, thank you, honey. You have no idea what this means. I raised a hand. But there's a condition. Dad frowned. Condition. You said once you only invest in kids with high IQs, I said quietly. So tell me, what's your IQ, Dad? The table went silent. Mom froze mid-breath. Liam stared, mouth half open. Dad's jaw clenched. Evan, don't be ridiculous. I smiled slightly. No, I'm serious. You told me once you only invest in the smart ones. So how smart are you now? Asking your dumb son to bail you out. He slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Exactly. I said coldly. Enough. Mom started crying. Please, Evan. Don't do this. We're losing everything. I looked at her and said softly. You already lost me 13 years ago. Then I stood up and pulled a folder from my jacket. Inside were printed statements, loan records, and foreclosure notices. You thought I'd walk in blind, didn't you? You thought you could guilt me into paying for your mistakes. Dad's face turned pale. Where did you get those? Let's just say I invested in the right connections. I said. I dropped the papers on the table. Your debts are your responsibility, not mine. But since you like investments so much, consider this one final lesson. Sometimes the things you throw away end up being worth more than everything you kept. Then I handed them one last envelope. Inside was a check for $50. Mom looked confused. Dad frowned. What's this supposed to mean? I smiled faintly. That's what you thought I was worth all those years ago. So, here's your return. $50 for your investment in me. For a second, no one moved. Then, Dad pushed the chair back, trembling with anger. You ungrateful little, I interrupted quietly. No, Dad. I'm not ungrateful. I just finally learned my value, and it's not measured in your approval anymore. I turned to leave, and Mom whispered through tears, Evan, please don't go. We just wanted a chance to make things right. I stopped at the door. Then, maybe you should have started with an apology, not a pitch. And with that, I walked out again, only this time, I wasn't running away. I was walking toward peace. Weeks passed. They never called again, but I heard from Alicia that their house eventually went up for sale and their investment empire crumbled quietly behind closed doors. Meanwhile, I started something new, a scholarship fund for creative kids from small towns. The kind of dreamers who get overlooked because they don't fit in boxes labeled smart enough. I named it the Wells Foundation for Artistic Vision. Not for revenge, but as a reminder that success isn't about IQ. It's about heart, grit, and the courage to believe in yourself when no one else will. Sometimes the people who call you worthless are just trying to hide their own fears. And sometimes the best revenge isn't making them pay. It's living so fully that they can't afford to ignore your worth anymore. They laughed at him for not being smart enough. 13 years later, he proved that intelligence isn't measured in numbers. It's measured in growth, in peace, and in knowing your worth. Some lessons are expensive but unforgettable.